Call the June 2nd, 2025 City Council meeting to order at 7:01. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You please roll call. Yes.
Council President Dumbrell,
Present.
Councilor Page.
Sure.
Councilor Hagedorn. Here. Councilor McCall Wallace.
Here.
Councilor Pippin. Present. Councilor Reddick. Councilor
Here.
Redding. Thank you. And Mayor Goodwin is excused this evening.
Okay, so there's two things before we move on to approval of minutes. We did have an issue with Zoom, so we had to change the link. So if anybody's texting or trying to get a hold of us, there's a new link in the calendar. Apologies. This is what happens when we deal with technology. It doesn't always work the way we planned. See, exactly. Appreciate the love.
Are you gonna lead the meeting back there?
Council President, where is the new link?
It's in the
It's in the
calendar.
calendar.
City calendar. The other thing is, as the mayor is not here today, if the council is agreeable, I would like to move, let's see, unfinished business, the censure discussion to a future meeting when the mayor is present. Is there by consensus, is everybody?
Seems appropriate because it involves her.
Yes. Any objections? Everybody agree? All right, I think that's consensus.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, so now at this point, we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
Council President.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're okay. Just a quick question. Do we have capability to post on maybe Facebook?
I sent it to Therese, and asked her. I haven't got a reply. I did send it to the 2 or 3 people that I know are gonna be online requesting to make comment that are, and I changed it on the agenda page of the calendar and the calendar, so. Teresa is the only one that has access to the Facebook page. Oh, do you have access to the Facebook page? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Problem solved.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm here. I can do it right now. I'm sorry, Lori, I didn't see it.
That's okay. I just sent it like 2 minutes ago.
Okay, I'll do it right now, okay?
Therese.
Sally, that would be Sally.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
All right,
Okay.
perfect.
So,
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion on the approval of the minutes.
Discussion about the minutes.
Yes,
I see
please.
there's no attendance on here. Has the council members as kind of like an index of all that are here, but
Hold
there's
on.
been some absences.
hold on.
Oh, under.
Yeah, the roll call is on the second page, number 5.
Okay, sorry. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Reading's hard.
That's why we're double checking. Any other discussion or comments or thoughts? Anybody like to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve the May 19th minutes.
I second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the May 19th, 2025 council minutes as they are, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, now we're moving on to public comment. And Lord, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's in the room first, right?
Yes.
Okay,
it
just
is.
making sure I did it right. All right. I have Ron Bunch on council rules / censure. And I'll just remind everybody, 3 minutes and we will cut you off to keep this moving, but please feel free to step up. Also, in the city or out of the city and for the record, please.
Name for the record is Ron Bunch. I'm from the city of Portland. I'm here to provide comment on 3 issues. The first is the recent practice of asking people who wish to provide comment to state both their name and the city where they're from. Now, this is inconsistent with the recent council rule 4D, which only requires that people state their name for the record. If the council has reasons to amend its rules to get a verbal statement of city of residents and thus duplicate what is provided in writing, it should make appropriate findings and do so. So secondly, North Plains Municipal Code, Chapter 30, Council Rules Online has not been replaced by the more extensive new rules adopted by the previous council at its very last meeting, 12/16/24. Well, this has caused a lot of confusion because it's really kind of hard to find the document. And if this is difficult for staff to go back into the charter and the rules in the short term, they should be posted in another easily accessible place. So I tried this again today and they haven't been there. Third, regarding council's recent vote to censure the mayor. I've listened to council president's declaration, which to say the following: I was in close proximity when it's alleged the mayor directed an employee to contravene council rules, allow someone to make public comment remotely. Here's what happened from my view. I asked the employee about remote testimony when filling out my own request card. The employee explained it required filling out a request to do so by 3 p.m. that day. Thus, the person I referenced could not comment. I was unfamiliar with the new rules for the above, and they had changed with my experience. So the mayor came over, and then the issue was summarized for them. They asked to the effect, is there a way to happen? It was explained the rule was identified on the agenda sheet. Chris Green, the city attorney, was there, politely explained that this was a council rule needed to ensure meeting efficiency. He then said council had the ability to waive its rules if warranted. The mayor accepted the explanation and went and sat down. The mayor did not direct contravene rules, and I will attest to that at the public hearing. The other city staff that heard this was the city manager. Now, furthermore, during my several decades of being president, city council, and commission meetings and experiences with parks and other capital projects, I never experienced an elected official being censured or otherwise reprimanded for asking for more citizen engagement and project information. In this case, to consider tree removals and replaced with a public park. Furthermore, censure never occurs when a councillor feels compelled to not vote with the majority. This particular project was only in the 60% design stage. It's been in place for a long time, and asking for that kind of information would not have delayed the project. So that's my comment on those 3 items. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Next is Chaplain censure.
Hi, I'm Chastity Wilson. I'm a resident of North Plains. President Dumbro and City Council. Censure is to express severe disapproval of someone or something, especially in a formal statement. Some examples of appropriate censure include on July 31st, 2007, retired Army General Philip Kessinger was censured by the United States Army for misleading investigators of the Pat death in 2004. On July 6, 2009, South Carolina Republican Governor Mark Sanford was censured by the South Carolina Republican Party Executive Committee for traveling overseas on taxpayer funds to visit his mistress. You are attempting to censure Mayor Goodwin for asking to allow public comment via Zoom and for asking for citizen engagement before a final decision was made in your trees in Jessie Mays Park. This is gross misuse of censure and legalized bullying. North Plains needs all of our councilors to support public engagement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I have Emily Waldron, process of applying for committees.
Hi, good evening. First, I want to thank Lori for trying to get me a Zoom link emailed. I was having some tech problems and things going on online. I just want to make some comment about difficulties with applying for committees. My grandparents will kill me, my late grandparents would kill me because they served on committees for like 40 years without having any recheck in. But I'm still intrigued by the fact that we don't have term limits for a lot of our boards and committees. So there are people still serving on committees that were appointed to that committee by my deceased parents. And it kind of seems like at some point we need to have a limit of how long you can be on there. And even just the fact that someone on a committee, and I guess full disclosure, I'm trying to apply for a committee opening, that people on a committee can just decide that they want to keep going. And that's allowed to continue indefinitely without having to take a survey of all of the available applicants or people interested for that position. I know there were some changes recently and it was done a little differently with Mark. I can't remember his last name, who was appointed to the budget committee. Where they didn't just automatically re-up the person who had the position. You all sought that and found someone who I think is a great candidate. So that's really nice to see. I would just encourage you as we continue to have board openings and committee openings to keep that trajectory. Because I think as North Plains grows and as we have new people coming in, we want people to desire to be involved. And if you get in and it just keeps on being the same old people for decades who are in these roles, and there's no new thought process or new drive or new blood or anything that's reflecting the way the community is now going, it is discouraging and it will lead to the opposite of what we want, which is less citizen engagement and less people being involved and a disconnect between City Hall and the public. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Emily. And I have Lori Furrow, censorship of the mayor. Could you state your name and inside or outside the city for the record?
In October, speak up a little, because
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Oh,
thanks.
sure. Sure. Oh, my name is Lori Furrow. Sorry, Lori Furrow from resident North Plains. And good evening. President Denbrough, in October of last year, at the CPOA candidate forum, when you were running with the other candidates for city council, you referenced the UGB vote that happened in May. That was one of the reasons that you were running for council. And you said, quote, voters overwhelmingly voted it down. And instead of respecting the voters, the city just went ahead and tried to overturn the referendum process with HB 4026, unquote. You said that you believe in giving the citizens of North Plains a real voice in government. And that's a great reason to run. Thank you. But just curious about how censoring the mayor helps to accomplish that goal. This park is very important to people of North Plains, and Mayor Goodwin's purpose for using your own words, quote unquote, to give a voice to the citizens. And it seems like silencing Mayor Goodwin is actually silencing the people of North Plains. In that same forum back in October, you said that you, quote, understand the importance of working collaboratively to find solutions that everybody can win. And that was unquote. And just wondering how the average citizens of North Plains benefit or gain anything from censoring the mayor. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like suppressing someone's speech qualifies for working collaboratively. President Councilman Aaron, you ran, it seems like, as a fiscal conservative. You never said that, but it just seemed like it, which I'm sure was appealing to many people in North Plains. At least the people that I know seem to live within their means and believe that the city should as well. Yet in the situation of censoring the mayor, just wondering who's paying for the legal counsel. It seems like the average citizen gets nothing from this political legal action, yet they're footing the bill with taxpayer money. And these are just a few things to consider. I believe that the citizens voted for Mayor Goodwin and that they want to hear her voice. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lori. And I believe we have one online, just the one, correct? No more in person.
I haven't received any
Okay.
other cards.
Okay, so online we have Linda Gallus Merton, if you want to unmute. Let's see. We will have to work with that, because of the Zoom issue. We may have to.
I sent her an email with the
Yeah.
link, so.
Okay, well,
She can submit her testimony in writing anytime and
perfect, okay. So I will, hopefully she will submit her testimony and we can put it into the public record. So with that being said, I believe that's all the public comments. We're gonna go ahead and move forward, and I'd like to welcome, I believe it's Chief of Operations Haven from TDFNR for the State of the District 2025.
Good evening, President Dumbrell, members of the council, members of the North Plains community. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Alex Haven. I'm a Division Chief of Operations for 12th Valley Fire and Rescue here to give you the 2025 State of the District for TDFNR. First, I'd like to start by recognizing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Folks, it's okay. Your own engine company 17 back here led by Lieutenant Daniel Crew and crew. Battalion Chief Anthony, who's responsible for the chief response in this area at North Plains. And also Corinne Hannon, who's a public affairs officer.
Thank you. Can you make it that side one instead of the middle one? Thanks.
So I got a few topics for our State of the District. We'll cover wildland deployments, our 2024 response snapshot for the city of North Plains. What we're doing in emergency medical services, our 2024 local option levy update, what we're doing with recruitment and our bond and capital projects. Next slide. So wildfire deployments, 2024 was a record-breaking year for the state of Oregon with 1.9 million acres burned. That's about double what Oregon typically sees on an average summer. Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office mobilized 17 conflagrations statewide, deploying 88 task forces to assist those communities threatened by those fires. As part of the Oregon's Mobilization Act, TDFNR deployed 31 firefighters to 11 of those 17 conflagrations between June 25th and September 13th. TDFNR's wildland team responded throughout the summer with 31 individuals deployed. All of our members are trained in wildfire and how to combat wildfire internally within the district. Our wildland team gets additional training, and then they also offer their time up during the summer to go out on those deployments. So following the Oregon's busy wildfire season, 2025 began with the devastating fires in Southern California. Within the first 24 hours, the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office began mobilizing resources across the state of Oregon down to California. In total, 370 firefighters from 23 counties in Oregon were deployed. TDFNR sent 14 firefighters, part of the Washington County and Yamhill County strike teams down to those fires. One of our battalion chiefs who serves on a state incident management team as an incident commander also deployed down to oversee the 370 firefighters from Oregon. Last summer, when much of the state was burning, California sent many of their resources up to assist us. It was a record year for us, and they were able to provide much needed relief for our people. As 2025 kicked off and they needed help and we were able to send resources down there, we were honored to be able to support them. Fire knows no boundaries. The fire service has a long history of supporting each other when communities are under threat. There are agreements in place between states for mobilization, funding, and even backfill of our positions to maintain full staffing during deployments. So when we were deciding, when we decide if we're gonna, if we have the ability to be able to send resources out to help people within the state or even in California, we look at a bunch of different factors internally to ensure that we can continue to provide effective response. And when we do that, we don't deplete our resources, our first line resources. So we're able to utilize staff and resources that we would have outside of our normal response within the fire district. And when our wildland team deploys, those crews also come back with crucial experience to help us prepare for the future and what wildfire might bring to the Pacific Northwest. Next slide, please. So this is your local snapshot overview for the city of North Plains. As you can see in 2024, this is January 1st, 2024 to December 31st. In the city of North Plains, there was 270 incidents, and I'll just kind of walk down the graph a little bit. Of those 270 incidents, we have been able to categorize those into broad categories. So you look at the top, fire, hazard service, good intent calls, false alarms, natural and other. And then you'll see the dispatched as and the situation found that dispatched as are calls that The dispatch center gets in and based on the call information, they're dispatching what they think is the call type. And the situation found is what our crews actually went on after they completed the call. So there is a little bit of a difference in adjustment of calls as you walk down those. So for instance, EMS, there was 217 dispatched and only 200 were actually medical. And then you'll start to see as you walk to the right. Can't see because there's a couple things there, but the good intent and then the false alarm, you'll start to see in the situation found where some of those calls that come in end up getting categorized in the good intent and the kind of the false alarm. So for instance, somebody might call in what they think is a house fire and it ends up being a backyard burner or barbecue that's just kicking off. And so we would classify that as a good intent call. Of your fires, kind of walking down that, you see structure or you see structure fires. We had 3 in the city of North Plains in 2024, 2 cooking fires, vehicle fires. We had 2 vegetation fires, 4. And then you start getting into the critical patients and the EMS calls there on the right. And of the structure fires, of the 3 structure fires, 2 were residential and 1 was commercial. So in totality, 7 out of the 10 calls that we run on our EMS. So it's a pretty big piece of what we do. Working down to the bottom, it looks like it's reciting, but we're a data informed organization. So we also track hour of day, day of the week. That's important for us to ensure that we've got the right resource based on peak demand. The hour of the day is pretty typical across the fire district. When people get up and start going through their day, that's when the calls go up. And then as they start to settle down for the evening, the calls go down. The day of the week is pretty consistent across the district. It's, we see a little bit of a spike on Saturday, but for the most part, it's pretty balanced through each day of the week. And then over to the right, you start to see the 5-year trend from 2020 at 218 calls to 2024 at 270. So a slight increase, which is also consistent with the fire district. And then the far right is just the top 3 stations within our service area that responded to the city of North Plains. And so station 17 at 92%, and then you got station 6-4 and 6-8, which are the next 2 closest stations that'll come in and back up station 17. And then in the upper right, you see the red dots. That's the call concentration for the city of North Plains. The red dots are typically like assisted living facilities, healthcare facilities where we tend to get an increase in call volume. So next slide. What we're doing in emergency medical services. So you saw in the previous slide, 70% of all volume that we have in the city is emergency medical services. That's very consistent with our calls in the entire fire district. In 2024, within the fire district, we responded on 42,774 medical calls. And given the growing number and aging of demographics of our population, we know we need to be innovative and collaborative, provide a level of service that the community members expect and deserve. And over the past year, we've implemented an advanced practice community paramedic program, which is a single unit who respond to low acuity calls, particularly community members who rely on 911 for their general resources, medical resources. We kind of call those high frequency utilizers. These community paramedics work with individuals in their homes to help connect them to additional services, thus minimizing call volume and impacts to the broader emergency response system. And then in January, we received a state grant to launch an advanced resource medic, what we call the ARM program. Now, this 2-year pilot program seeks to reduce non-essential emergency room transports by directly addressing non-emergent healthcare needs at licensed care facilities. The ARM is designed for stable, non-urgent patient conditions, such as mild asthma, minor wounds, mild dehydration, or infections that can be treated on site. So we're trying to connect to people that might not be able to connect to the healthcare system directly in their home or wherever they live so that we can get them the resources they need. And then another effort this last year in Washington and Clackamas counties has come from the primary ambulance provider, AMR, through a program called Nurse Navigation, in partnership with local EMS stakeholders. And this program works to connect non-emergent calls with registered nurse trained in telephone triage, who can provide advice and direct patients to relevant resources. So as the dispatch center receives those calls, they're able to ask a certain subset of questions. And if they don't fit the emergency criteria, they can kick them over to nurse triage and then hopefully get them the care or the resources that they need without activating the emergency system. Next slide, please. A local option levy update. So last spring, we came before you to talk about our local option levy replacement. In May of 2024, voters approved a 5-year levy that allows for the hiring of 36 additional firefighters and paramedics over the next 5 years. We project the new levy rate will sustain district need for the next 10 years. The current levy expires this June. Collections of the new levy will take effect July 1st of this year, and then residents will see the new levy rate on their November property tax statement. We'd like to thank the community for supporting us and just their ongoing support over the years. This levy will allow us to continue to provide fast and effective call response to our residents and meet community's needs over the next decade. Next slide. Recruitment. Large hiring and retirement waves are cyclical in the fire service. We're in the middle of one of those waves now. We have been for probably the last 4 years and will continue to be for the next couple. Recruitment and hiring have faced unique challenges in the fire service in general across the nation in recent years. Our focus remains on attracting the best candidates possible. So while overall applicant numbers may be lower, we continue to see high quality applicants who are drawn to TBFNR as their agency of choice. In addition to new recruits in the last 4 years, we've also had a significant amount of promotions. So as people are leaving on retirements, oftentimes they're in rank within our rank structure. We're also promoting. So we've promoted roughly 51 apparatus operators or drivers and 51 personnel to lieutenant. And our lieutenant is a frontline supervisor who runs a crew on an engine company or a truck company. And just to give you an idea, we try to have rostered about 82 lieutenants. And so our 82 lieutenants were, we've turned over 51 in the last 4 years. So fairly significant turnover in many of our ranks. So we've also focused on a strong emphasis of succession planning, training, and leadership development. And our tactics when it comes to recruitment as we move into the future, continue to strengthen partnerships with local high schools, community college, health career programs. We also have a Portland Metro Fire Camp for women that has continued to prove to be an inspiring program. We brought back an annual career day program and we've reestablished our internship program. And as noted earlier, we are a data informed organization. We've surveyed potential and new recruits about their decision process for coming to TBFNR. And many have said that social media has played some, if not a crucial role in giving them additional information about the fire district. And we have worked to increase our presence in social media spaces while working more intentionally with our recruitment team to reach a broader cross section of the communities we serve. And looking ahead, we will continue to innovate our recruitment strategy and attract high quality individuals to the fire district. Very important for us. We'll also continue to work on our development process of those that are wanting to promote additional ranks for succession planning. And just continue to make this a focus, but this is super important for the sustainability of the fire district as we navigate the future. Next slide. In our bond and capital projects, in 2021, voters approved a general obligation bond, which are largely allocated for improvements and upgrades at a number of our stations throughout the district. This year, residents will begin to notice activity at several locations. Station 35 in King City will undergo a complete station rebuild with site preparation, which is currently underway, and demolition and groundbreaking slated for this summer. The station is expected to be completed by the end of 2026. Station 62 in Aloha is moving forward with a relocation to 185th and Pheasant. This location makes sense, the most operational sense, as we navigate some of our responses in that area, specifically in the Aloha area. And we're currently moving to the permitting process. Station 67 on Farmington Road in Beaverton, it's our busiest fire station that we have in the district, will undergo a significant remodel. We're currently looking for a temporary site in the area for firefighters to respond from while that work starts on the station, hopefully early 2026. And then our training center is located just outside of Sherwood. It requires a number of improvements. So we're in the initial phases of replacing our training building where recruits and firefighters receive thousands of hours of training. Just a I think a point to highlight, 5 years ago, the cost to build the station was around $8 to $9 million. And it is currently today at 14 to 15 million, so pretty significant difference. And then last slide, please. So I know on behalf of all of TDFNR, every day is truly a privilege to serve our community as we strive to provide the highest levels of professionalism, customer service and care. Staying active within our communities is important to us. I know specifically in North Plains, recent and upcoming events that we participated in, the May 26th Memorial Day ceremony where Lieutenant Krug spoke at that event. Looks like you got the ice cream social coming up here on June 5th. July 26th, the All Ford Car Show, July 31st, National Night Out, and then August 9th, the Garlic Festival, which includes a parade and a Station 17 open house. We're really looking forward to being involved in that. And we can't fit an entire year into one presentation. So I do encourage you to scan that QR code, which will take you to the 2024 year in review for the fire district, which will give you a little bit more insight about what we did last year in 2024 and who we are. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Yes, sir.
This is very expensive. So you may not have, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the costs.
Mhm.
When you guys roll out for any kind of call, you have 40, you have 4 people there. And the people serve 12 hours a day. 24 hours. So there's a cost to paying somebody, their pay, then extra pay and 24 hours pay, which is very expensive. 70% or more of that are your medical calls. Would it be better, as far as cost goes, to have the people that are Uber trained, trained for everything in the world, and they're super trained, have them work the 24 hours, maybe have a crew that could do shifts, swing shift, day shift, and night shift, 3 shifts, 8 hours, so we don't pay that, all that compounding staffing time. And have people that respond directly to, like the ambulance drivers or ambulance crews, they respond directly to the medical. This way they don't have to get paid the compounding costs. And you have lower trained people do that, people that are trained medical, since most of the calls are medical in nature. Maybe that could save some costs. And
Yeah.
relieve some of the stress from your entire fleet of people
Yeah.
working 24 hours a day. But some people do that are Uber trained, and that's the ones that do most of the work here. Work on shift,
Yeah,
which
it's
would cost savings.
a great question. I know that's some of the stuff that we're looking at into the future is how do we have what we call a tier dispatch system, which would help us triage some of those calls, especially some of the lower acuity calls and get.
Well, not like triage it, but have
Yeah,
if there's a fire, we need everybody, the engines rolling and 4 deep and, the jaws of all that stuff, right?
yeah,
Maybe, just have other crews that can take care of some medical things. When I did the ride along, we had one call, and the call was just for somebody reported their kid was choking. Kid wasn't really choking, but people get panicky, they call up, right? The fire truck got there moments before the private ambulance got there and waved them off. Go ahead, ambulance drivers, go home. And they talked to them. I was like, your kids are right. Everything's fine. I had that feel good feeling. I was wondering also, would it be, somebody also called up that they're constipated and the fire truck's rolled out there, the whole fire truck, people like jobs, all that stuff. Suggesting a guy has some laxatives. Very expensive. If an ambulance took care of that, they would have got a bill for it, or, we pay somebody 24 hours, they're overworked and all that stuff. So there's a couple of things that we helped out here as far as cost goes and just reducing stress on, everybody. Maybe what you're saying before, the dispatchers having like a triage of it. Letting some of the ambulance people pick up that slack, let people get a $6,000 bill for maybe some Pepto-Bismol. Or, having that happen. Is that in the works, or is it just?
Yeah.
All hands on deck, we're gonna treat everybody incredibly.
no,
And,
that's part of that. Just what I was saying a little earlier of kind of walking through the whole system. In this county specifically, it's a whole system change, or if we've identified that as a need. Our number one priority is to ensure that we have the right resources going to the right call, and some of that is looking at some of those those low acuity calls and ensuring we got the right resources so that our firefighters who are highly trained can go to the emergencies that they're needed to go to, that they need to respond to, so. It's something that we've actively been talking about, for the last year, and we've engaged within the EMS system and also within the other county fire agencies to kind of understand where we can go as a county.
Okay, yeah, because I see that the majority of work is medical related.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are just false alarms.
Yeah.
Or it could be.
Yeah.
You know, thanks.
Counselor Pittman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you to Corinne. Thank you to Station 17 as well for showing up. I just wanted to kind of follow up on Counselor Page's question. I recently had an opportunity to attend the Citizen or the Community Academy. And that was one of the topics we talked about in depth, was just how much of a strain EMS calls can be, especially in some of those areas that have, you know, a lot of assisted living or healthcare facilities. And something I had learned as part of this presentation was just some of the proactive work that TVFNR is really trying to invest in to kind of get ahead of the curve, essentially, so that, you know, you don't have to do the whole cavalry, right? We can send out just one, you know, car 64 to go educate, you know, someone like, hey, these are the resources available. You don't need to call 911 in the event of needing healthcare, right? And a lot of this is demographic based as well, but I just want to echo, you know, your sentiments, and also just what I had recently learned that there, you know, I don't quote me, but I want to say Chief Weiss had mentioned this is something many years in the making, that TVFNR has really worked to strengthen that within the fire district. So I want to thank you for that. And also, you know, very valid concerns, but I know that is something at the forefront that I learned about this last session. And I just want to publicly again thank TVFNR for the opportunity. Special shout out to Sunny. I see you there, so thank you so much. Had a wonderful experience with Station 17, sleeping in the station overnight. I was really hoping, you know, to get some big call, but it was a pretty calm time, but it was really eye-opening. I know you laugh, right? I saw Pulse Point today. It looks pretty quiet. But I just want to say thank you, because it truly is a sacrifice, and seeing behind the scenes really gave me a lot of confidence that our taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely, and hands down, good stewards of the money. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your commitment to understand. Appreciate that.
Mr. McCall Wallace.
Thank you. I want to say thank you, and thank you to all of the firefighters here. I think we're all aware of what went on with the California wildfires and the Oregon wildfires last year. You know, we see a lot of news on that information, but we don't see a lot of news on sort of the emergency medical services. And I was, well, they showed up to my house this last year for a friend who, at a barbecue, whose defibrillator went off, and he didn't know that was what was happening. Basically, his pacemaker malfunctioned, but it was just a constant shocking, took him to the ground. So, you know, it was called in, and the firefighters showed up and did the first set of action until the ambulance could get there to take him. And so, one is, you know, got to see all of that in action and the efficiency involved. And I was really pleased to see tonight about the new emergency medical services programs to address some of the issues of those who are using 911 when it's not an emergency that's going to end them up, you know, needing emergency services, as well as your recruitment programs and targeting youth, etc. So I want to say thank you for being proactive on that, and thank you for hearing the issue of, like, you know, we're all paying for these letters and bonds. So you know, how you're addressing that to sort of make sure that you're using the taxpayer money well as well. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Councilor, you're ready, Andy?
I have one other quick
Oh,
question.
yes, Councilor Pittman.
And you might, I'm gonna put you on the spot, you might not
Perfect.
know the answer, but I was hoping that you might be able to speak a little bit about some of the bond improvements occurring or planned to occur at Station 17.
Well, I know that it's on this current bond cycle, just take a look at improvements. I know there's some conversations based on, just the priority of getting the remodel, of. Say it's on the list, and I know that we've had some conversations about the timing and just because of some construction costs, like some of the cost increases. We've been challenged on, reprioritizing a few of our stations to get them moving forward. And I think with this next summer, as we start to break ground on a few of the stations, we'll be able to start taking a look at that. The plan as it continues for this bond, but I do know that Station 17, at least in the initial conversation, supposed to be on this current bond. It's been a conversation that we've been having about what the timing of that looks like. So hopefully in the next year, we'll be able to start rolling out what that would look like into the future. So, yeah, you bet.
Excellent. Anything else? All right, well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Last, I'll just say, we'd really love to see a Washington County Sheriffs versus TVFNR touch football. During the Garlic Festival, if you guys are up for it.
Well,
I can't speak for the sheriff's office, but I'm pretty sure you guys are up for it. So thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And thank you for all you do
Have
for
a
us.
good evening.
Right. I believe the next is a video from the League of Oregon Cities monthly update. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're just on the next agenda, right?
Yeah, it's, yeah, there. It's missing a colon. There was messing with it earlier.
So what it is?
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
I
having a
see.
problem. Oh, I'm asking. But it's in the packet, so I don't know if they did that.
In the past, we use it in our election, we know that we have some people now this movement is on the floor. The electors have paid that debt. Again, this October 2025, there will no longer be an opportunity for nominations from the floor if you wish to serve on the LOC Board of Directors. Instead, if serving on the board is something you're interested in, and I hope that you are, then you will need to file a statement of interest in the summer months, and you will need to be interviewed by the nominating committee. That interview will happen during the LOC annual conference. So if you're someone who's been around for a while and you're used to seeing nominations from the floor, please know those will no longer exist. And gaining access to the board of directors will require you to file a statement of interest and be interviewed by the nominating committee. Second thing you need to know today is something that's personally really close to my heart. For the first time ever at the League's annual conference, the Friday of the event will provide an opportunity for high school students who are interested in local government to attend our conference. We will offer those students a one-day registration price, and they're going to mingle with all of you. They get to go to every session, every networking event. They get to learn what it means to be a leader in local government in Oregon. So if you are a city who works closely with your high school students, or you have a youth council program, please make sure you keep in mind that you probably want to register them for this opportunity when it happens in October. And the last thing to update everyone on today is about an advanced media training that the League is offering on June 11th here in Salem. It's in person and it's available to any city official, whether you're the city manager, the public information officer, the fire chief, or the public works director. If you're someone who has to engage with the media and you have concerns about knowing how to do so in the most effective and passionate manner, this is a training you need to attend. You can find more information about this training on the LOC website at www.orcities.org. We hope to see many of you there. Well, that's it. That's everything you need to know this month. Thank you so much for everything that you do for your cities, for your region, and for the state as a whole.
Right, so next item is what? Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to note that, we do have the person who wasn't here for public comment online now. Do you want to take that? Or would you want to fit that in?
Let's just have her send that, the public comment in and we'll add it to the record.
Okay, just confirm.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is resolution 2303, reappointing members of the library board, and this is gonna be a staff report from Robin Doherty.
I wanted to also thank the fire department, TDFNR, they're a great partner with the library, they help us hang our display quilts. Every month, we really appreciate that, and we hope that Captain Klein is enjoying his retirement. So I just wanted to just give a brief overview of the library board, positions and the process for that. We have kind of two different timelines going on right now because we have 3 terms that end this June 30th on the library board. We didn't stagger when we went from 5 to 7, we didn't stagger the terms, so we ended up kind of with 3 that end at the same time. And so we have a reappointment timeline that is guided by the procedures in Municipal Code 30.15A1E, which is a sitting member of a board, commissioner, committee may be reappointed to a board, commissioner, committee by the council without an open application process if 1, the member of the board, commissioner, committee requests reappointment in writing, and 2, the city council waives the requirement for an open application process. Well, we opened the library board application process, so that part is not under consideration this evening because 1 of the 3 did not apply for reappointment. And so we opened an application period from May 1st to May 31st. And that brings us to today, the first business day after that application period closed. So now then, we know we have a vacancy, and that is guided by a different code, which is City Code 3117B, library board vacancies. After the date for filing has expired, the city recorder shall determine whether the candidates are eligible to serve. Applications of qualified individuals shall be forwarded to the library board for review, and those nominees shall be interviewed by the library board. And the library board shall make a recommendation to the city council. City council shall review the recommendation of the library board and may also choose to interview all the applicants. So the city recorders let me know that she received 3 new qualified applications for an outside of city limits position. And I will include their applications in the library board packet that'll go out next week for the June 18th meeting. I will send the candidates the meeting packet and invite them to the meeting to be interviewed by the library board. And as staff, I don't participate in the interviews. So in the council packet for the July 7th meeting, you'll see another staff report from me to pass along that recommendation from the library board for an appointment to the vacancy. Then on July 7th, you will make any remaining appointments to the library board. On July 16th, the library board meets for its first meeting of the fiscal year, elects officers, etc. The library board does have term limits of 2 terms. Then after a year of not serving, one can reapply if one wishes. So, so this evening, you have the 2, you're considering the reappointment of Allison Pollock and Tim Shollick, who are both here. They have applied in writing to be reappointed for a 2nd term. And they have attended, if you'd like either of them to come up. Or both, or it's kind of now over to you for that part.
Thanks,
Thank
Robin.
you.
Counselors,
I hope that's helpful.
it is, thank you.
Okay.
Counselors, comments, thoughts?
Whenever folks show up, I like to acknowledge them first off.
Yeah.
And have them come here and just say a little something about themselves. Yeah. So it's, I mean, it's nice
You
to
can
hear,
sit.
so let's
Yes,
good to
we
think.
should recognize this.
Hi, I'm Allison Pollock from the city of North Plains. This is my 2nd term, would be my 2nd term on the board. I'm a 2nd grade teacher with a reading endorsement, so I've got passion for early literacy that I think makes me qualified for the position, and I've loved my time serving so far.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I was gonna ask a question because I had the opportunity to go to the library board just to meet people. And so I know there's more to your history of the library and involvement with the library. And I'm gonna ask the same with all the candidates, you know, what's your involvement been with the library? So could you please share that?
Yeah, my history with the library starts when it was the little room right next door, and I would ride my bike as a teenager and help reshelve the books when they were, you know, just a couple hundred books. And it kind of evolved from there before COVID. I worked with a lot of my students in the library, and then just kind of fell in love with the atmosphere and the things that they offered and the people, so.
Any other?
If you have the, you have a lot of influence already. But if you had like supreme influence, right, you do a lot of things you do. What would be the number one thing that you would have added or changed or just enhanced?
Oh, my heart is for the students, so I would just put more time and energy, but they already do a great job with the outreach to the two schools, but I would do even more outreach to the schools and for the kids that get the student library card, but maybe can't get to the library. I don't know, something for those kids too.
When I was growing up, we had what's called a mobile book fair, you know, not book fair, but a book library. I don't know if we have that or not, maybe. We don't want to encourage kids to get in buses, right? Or vans, I should say. But, you know, something where we have like, go out to there and have the kids check out books and then come back and pick them up again. That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? And Tim, you want to come up and give us your pitch? Thank you, Allison.
Sit over here.
Or get grilled, one or the other.
That's
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm applying for my second term in the library. I'm a outside North Plains member of the library board. I started when I lived in Southern Oregon. I was on a library board in another small community. I enjoyed the work that I did. When I moved back to Oregon, back to Oregon and Northern Oregon, I retired and I was looking for some work to do, and I volunteered at the library. And I applied for a board position. They told me I needed to work a little harder and do a little more volunteering, so I had to come back and apply again. It's been a great experience. I know that North Plains takes a lot of pride in their library. I think it's one of the outstanding things that the community has done for itself. And I just enjoy supporting the community and the library.
Excellent. Questions, comments? You don't want to ask your
I was gonna ask the same question I asked earlier.
magic wand?
Yeah, exactly. If you had, you know, you do have a lot of difference there. I mean, people listen to you when you talk. However, if you didn't have to do with committees and you just had to do something to enhance the library, what do you think it would be?
Say.
So I was saying, I was prefacing it by saying that you do have a pretty good voice in the, at the library. However, if you didn't have to deal with committees or any of that, if you were able to make a change, this is some kind of change or enhancement,
Yeah.
without asking anybody's permission, just gonna do it, what would that be?
Well, my wife, when our early marriage, she was worked for Title III, and she went out to homes to teach mothers in rural areas of Oregon on how to help their kids learn to read. I believe one of the things I'm most proud about this library and the work that Robin and her staff do is our early childhood education programs. And if I had a magic wand, I would do what I could do to increase our classes, increase the funding for early childhood education. Because every bit of research I've ever read, that I've never really read any contradictory research that says that if you get off to a good start when you're young reading and using that, you'll continue that the rest of your life. And so I think that's an excellent service that we supply. So.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I just have, oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question,
Please.
Robin.
Oh,
So to clarify, this is an outside, out of the city position, and I don't remember what Allie's.
Allie's inside the city limit.
Thank you very much, just so I knew what we were looking at, and there's 2 outside positions, correct, on the board?
We can have up to 3
Up to 3, thank you.
but there's
of the 7.
But the two that are, two of the 3 positions, 2 that are open, including
Right.
mine, are outside the city.
Thank you.
We
Thank
have
you.
a current board member whose term is not up, who is also outside the city
Okay.
limits, so we can't have more than 2 more.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
thank you.
And just out of fairness, did any of the, so the other 3 are outside, correct? The other 3 applicants?
Mhm.
Did any of them show up by chance tonight?
Well, they will be on, you'll have their applications in your agenda packet for July 7th.
Okay,
And they will be invited to attend, if you'd like to interview them. It's like kind of up to the council whether or not to take the library board's recommendation or, you know, take that into consideration, but also interview everyone. That's up to you all. But that timeline's slightly different because the reappointment process, is to submit in writing that you're interested in another term. And so we just kind of broke it into 2 chunks.
Good.
So that the library board needs that chance to interview them.
counselors?
I'm going to, I'm going to make a motion, if everybody's done. The library has done a lot of great stuff in the past, and the people that are currently out there, I'm really excited that they're coming back. So with that, hold on, my computer to shut up right now. I'd like to move to adopt resolution number 2303, reappointing Ally Pollock and Timothy Shellick to second terms on the North Plains Library Board through June 30th, 2029.
Move, I hear a second.
I'll second it.
Okay,
We'll see where it goes
moved in second. Is there any discussion?
about the motion.
Yes, about the motion, sorry. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, no discussion. So at this point, we're good with voice. Or do you want roll call?
Roll call, please.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. So Laura, please do a roll call vote on the resolution 2303.
I will,
You know-
starting with President Dumbrell,
Aye.
Counselor Papin,
Aye.
Counselor Phage,
Aye.
Counselor Hagedorn,
Aye.
Counselor Redding,
Aye.
Counselor McCall Wallace.
Aye.
I think I got everybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's it.
the mayor's missing, so unanimous.
So motion carries. So thank you for serving. I will look forward to seeing a great. Sorry, I can't think. Another great 4 years, 4 more years. No, but thank you. Somebody will be able to get the words out, right?
Thank you for the opportunity to serve the community. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We appreciate it. I appreciate you coming. And thank you for showing up in person, by the way. Councilor Craig. And we'll continue to embarrass people to show up in person. Oh, never mind. We won't do that. I stand corrected. Okay, thank you, counselors, and thank you, board members and Robin. So now no new business, so I'm gonna turn it over to the city manager for reports.
City manager report, okay, well, I guess, I would just. Everybody at the table knows, but the budget committee unanimously in the 3rd meeting, after a lot of very good discussion in the 2nd and 3rd meeting. Because the 1st meeting was primarily, unfortunately, as it has to be, me talking through a whole bunch of info. But after the 2nd and in the 3rd meeting, the budget committee unanimously approved the budget for the city and for the urban renewal agency. So we will be getting a notice out to the paper for newspaper notice this week. So that council can take up the budget for both the city and the URA as approved. Take it up for consideration, take both up for consideration for adoption on Monday, the 16th. So that'll be at the next meeting. I guess the other two primary things I just wanted to update you on is number one. We on the 16th also will be, at that time, we'll be doing a first reading for an ordinance for approval. Of a zoning text amendment, basically to. Be consistent with FEMA's new rules regarding development in environmentally sensitive areas, wet areas, basically. You've been briefed on all that with the work session. There's kind of been evolving process with that between the state and the federal government and local agencies and attorneys for local agencies. And so we're gonna bring before you on the 16th, pretty much the same thing you were expecting before. But our city attorney's office has worked with other municipal attorneys around the state and other cities. And we have some slight modifications to what you've seen before, just to basically clarify and make the new standards clear and objective. Meaning that it is a straightforward, clear and objective review of whether or not a development that would apply for development under the new zoning code that's amended with this, clearly and objectively meets the standards that are set forth, and there aren't, it doesn't put any kind of unfair burden on the development interest in light of what the new rules are. So basically, but we'll talk about it more in depth. But that first reading of the new ordinance with the slight tweak to the ordinance language you've seen will be on the 16th as well. So anyway, that's coming. The other thing I would just update on is the city manager surety bond. The bond provider is basically, she and Ashley are going over the language on a few different things. There was an email today. It's getting close. I think the bond provider is going to provide some additional answers to questions Ashley had about the amount. And then, I would think by the next meeting, on the 16th, we can come back with the final bond and some additional information for questions you'll likely have. So just an update on that. It's just kind of ongoing. So, yeah, so that's probably about it for me. And then again, just reemphasizing, Ice Cream Social Thursday. It's going, big to do, beginning of summer.
It's gonna be nice weather.
It'll be wonderful weather. Absolutely.
Did you want to see?
Oh, the one do that one.
Oh, just the videos or
No,
no?
the conference in Banks.
The luncheon. Yeah, I told you. That's the small cities meeting on what day is it?
That is,
Wednesday.
yes.
Wednesday, the 18th?
Yeah.
Okay, Banks has very kindly just been chosen and volunteered to host the League of Oregon Cities Regional Small Cities Meeting. There are a variety of cities, I believe is it under 10,000? I think it's under 10,000, cities under 10,000. Member cities of League of Oregon Cities kind of have a rotating, go to that city and visit. I went to the one up in actually it must be over 10,000 because I went to the one in Scappoose over the winter. Just to kind of meet with some cities up there now that we share legislators in Salem. Due to redistricting last year, I wanted to go and just kind of get to meet people up in Columbia County with whom we get to work on, share the same legislators and work on things with them. So I wanted to get to kind of hear what's going on up there. But Banks on Wednesday, June 18th, will be the host of the regional small cities meeting. So elected officials, please, we can get information, but just down the road, that would be a wonderful event. You'll meet elected officials and probably senior city staff and police chiefs from other cities, other small cities around, but certainly your colleagues in Banks will be there too. So it's a good opportunity. Cool. And then every month we will be having Patty Mulvihill, the executive director of League of Oregon Cities. She'll be kind of doing her top 3 things update, and we'll just do that video for you so you can kind of get the high elevation summary of things moving forward.
Great. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you. All right, so we'll go with council reports. Councilor Page, you want to start? We'll just go around, just make it easy.
Absolutely.
That works.
So this last Monday, I was able to attend the Memorial Day event, and I want to thank Cindy Hurst for all the work she has done for that. I mean, it's really means a lot. My dad's a veteran. I never served under his advice. He's like, don't do that. Go do, something else that a good accomplishment. All right, so I did. And it's unfortunate because I kind of rather have done that. Thank you for setting that up. Kimberly Moss also was there, and she did a great job in the MC. I also, on Saturday, went to the Family Justice Center, their fundraiser. Kimberly Moss was there as well, MC there. So, wherever she's at in spirit, thank you for representing North Plains. She talked about North Plains a lot there. I also got to see our very own Chris Barron, who's the chair for the Budget Committee. And, thanks for being there as well. That's what I did this weekend.
All right, Councilor Reddy.
Cindy and I have already discussed how moving and wonderful that memorial was, and I'm so appreciative for, is it the Parks Foundation that put it on?
No, the Community Foundation and the Chamber of the City.
So all three, thank you.
Sponsored, paid by Oregon Canadian, of course.
Okay, there we go. A great big thank you to all involved. It was truly wonderful.
Councilor Powell.
I want to echo the same, because it was a very moving ceremony, essentially, hearing everyone speak. And my family also has a long history, in the military, so, you know, it's hard to hear taps and, in that moment every year. So, I have several things that I wanted to bring up, and I'm just gonna jump in on them for my council report. One is that I did attend the library meeting, and unfortunately, Robin is always so good about giving reports that last meeting, she shared all of the statistics with you and all of the data that was shared at that meeting. And today she shared what was happening with the applications. And so I don't have anything to say other than they are a really great, efficient group that is working really hard with all of our great programming. And it was a lovely meeting. It was lovely to meet everybody involved. The other things I have are not reports on meetings. I have a question about, I know that Councilor Page has brought up the ceasing or the cost of the attorney and sort of racking up attorney bills as we use the attorney. And I wanted to bring up the issue of kind of recognizing that internally through council, emails that are going out or requesting information from the city, just operations information, are often CCing the attorney. So, you know, it's a cost to have the attorney read emails, basically. And so I think that it's something, if the council as a body agrees, that we could be more conscious about in terms of those decisions. You know, so even just, you know, asking for basic information or giving a notification about something doesn't necessarily need an attorney attachment, I guess, to that. I don't know how people feel about that.
So you seeking understanding, everybody says agree, you don't want to see this attorney?
Well, I think I'll just leave it at that. I think it's something that we should come to a consensus about and sort of a decision about, as opposed to, you know, just simply having that be a routine practice for all emails to go to the city attorney. The city attorney is not on staff. The city attorney is a consultant fee, and
yeah,
so yeah, bring it up to discuss it and whether it needs to go on an agenda or I don't know. I just think it's something that we should look at.
I think to solve that, I'd like to make a suggestion that we have a professional bill here that runs the city, and if something needs to be forwarded to the attorney, he will do it.
Well, it was already on there. They're already sending it to the.
Yeah, I know, but so this leave the attorney off on that bill side. That's my suggestion.
I think we put this one on agenda for our future discussion. This could go on.
That's fine.
Good point.
If council wants to talk about that.
Do we want to add this to a future agenda item?
I think we need to get a handle on it.
It sounds
I would think-
Councilor Wallace is concerned and Paige, let's put it on an agenda item. This could.
Yeah, I'm just looking for consensus. Councilor Reddy, thoughts? Good with that? No, it's,
If there needs to be a discussion.
okay, Bill, if we can add that to a future agenda. item.
Absolutely.
I think that would be wise. I just want to make sure everybody was on the same page. Okay, great. Thank you, Counselor. Anything else?
Yes, there was a question in the last meeting, when I asked a clarifying question in public comment. And it's my understanding that counselors can ask clarifying questions. And my clarifying question was essentially who is speaking to us. So it can be based on anything, you know, not just the content in the moment, but anything from the speaker, you know, what their name is, where they're from. And in this case, I asked who the steering committee members were of the Strong Towns group. We've had 35 comments from people outside of North Plains since January. And 8 of those have come from the Strong Towns. And without knowing who that is in the community, I'm asking that for our own transparency as council, but also for the community's transparency. And so it did not take away from the other information that had already been asked for on multiple times with the surety bond from my perspective. But I do want to say that in resolution 2285, it does allow for council to ask questions to clarify. And my intent was really just to clarify who was speaking to us.
Okay.
Third, we were given a great packet of information last time on AgriHoods. And I had an opportunity to look at that information and then look at additional information, find out about 2 that were in Oregon, one in Salem, one in Donald. And I found that information and also some architectural work leaning in that direction, not clearly that completely that's happening out of Portland. I think it's an interesting concept. I think it would be a great learning session for us to learn more about what they are, what they do, you know, not just from those who build them, but from those who live in them. And it's something I would like to see on a future agenda or work session so that we were able to kind of receive more information about what that is and how that might fit our farming community and any development we do in this area.
Thoughts?
I'll just take the first stab. I'm open to discussing that at a future council meeting.
Anybody else? Thoughts? Open to the conversation? Councilor Hagerl?
Add it to the list. Where is the list? Can we see the list? Sorry.
I kind of like the meetings to be more focused on policy and such, but this is a visioning thing and we're doing a lot of visioning now, so it might be appropriate, so let's just vet it.
Okay.
See what it is.
Could I ask, hold on, I just want to ask Council Favor clarifying, or a follow-up to that. Would you see that as being something that would be better in a joint work session with planning commission, or do you think, where are you going? I'm just trying to like drive your thought.
I don't know enough about it to know where I'm going yet.
Okay,
So I'm thinking, where would this go?
It would be nice to, sorry.
go ahead, Councilman.
So it's
fine. Go ahead.
It would be nice to have like a credentialed expert in the domain or field present.
The domain
or
expert.
something, yeah, I'm not sure there's, yeah.
My preference would be to have a work session where we had a presentation by, you know, people who are living and working in the community, people who are in an existing community, people who have worked with the developments of them, you know, those who are sort of employed within something like that. So we had a more sense of what they are and how they work. And I think that could be organized and put together for us as a council and, you know, in which we could invite planning to it as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably more appropriate for like a planning discussion, I think, more than the city council one, so.
Thoughts? That makes sense to everybody? Okay, so yeah, let's do that as a work session. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it makes more sense. I just want to make sure that I was understanding the thought, but yes, I was very interested, but I also have a lot of questions as usual, so I think a work session is probably more appropriate, in my opinion.
I think we'd like to be introduced to the topic
Yeah,
beyond,
yes, that's a
beyond the
good,
handout that we received. We'd like to go a little more in depth.
yeah, you got to start it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then my other thing is that we've had several discussions about policy items that haven't moved forward yet. And so I wanted to see where we were with those. One was a policy discussion based on a parks district and what that takes, what that looks like and how that could happen or not. One is the URA focus and focus adjustment, I'll call it. One was looking at potentially the updating of the emergency plan. I mean, even in minimally updating, changing, getting the right names of who's there, who's in place for things. And then, also tree management. Was another one that we had talked about, having that come before us. And I don't know where, I know we pushed some of these off saying, let's get through the budget, so I just don't want them to be lost. The one other one that I would like to see us add, we set up, joint meetings with all the commissions, committees and boards that run through September, I believe. And so I would like, if the council would, in October or so, that we take a look at, after we've met with all the committees and kind of see how they're operating, and can ask questions, that we would take a look at council appointments and terms and any kinds of updates, so we could do that as one group policy look. But not to do that until we hit about October, so we're through those and before the next year's meetings with those committees.
Sorry, just to clarify, can you explain, so look at the appointments and.
So there's the code, it's come up several times about the code in terms of appointments and in terms of like who could be appointed, how they're appointed, what does that look like, as well as what are term limits, or who has term limits, who doesn't have term limits. And they're all different, I'll say they're all different beasts. The library is not the library on its own. It's also the Washington County Library. Planning Commission has a completely different organizational powers within the city, for example, and things like that. So, I know they're all different, but there may be a way that we sort of look at them and sort of wrap that all up together in the fall.
If I could paraphrase what I think you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you're saying is, could we have some kind of a higher level standard that they inherit from? And then they will have to make changes based on their specifics, but kind of there'll be an overarching, this is how it is, and then you.
We decide what those bylaws, we decide what those boards' term limits are. We decide what those
Right.
processes are, except for, I think the library board has some, the ones that come in there.
I'm hearing Counselor Wallace, your recommendation. Could we tighten that proposal up for the next council meeting? I'm a little bit confused what you're asking.
Okay, I will tighten it up for the next few things.
I think I see where you're going, but yeah,
It's October.
just a little more clarity, yeah.
Got it.
But I think you're on the right track. I think we just need to clarify some more. Okay, anything else? Counselor Hagan.
While we're talking about the topic du jour backlog, I'd like to ask to add, at our last council meeting, we had a resident concerned about speeding in Brent Hill. I don't want that to go ignored, and maybe if we could make that a macro topic, since there are a few other complimentary complaints with residents. I'd like to add that to the backlog.
Yes,
Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
you're gonna add that.
Justin and Chief both
Oh, there we go.
reached out
Okay,
to residents. Actually, I think it was an email, just another one late last week. So, but yes, we can absolutely, but we've been acting.
great. I'd like to still add it to the backlog. Looking forward to scooping ice cream on Thursday. I have a sticky phobia with sticky hands, so I'm a little concerned about that.
I think they provide.
fingers in
gloves.
your-
Good. I'm still kind of freaking out about that, but I'm looking forward to that and attending Parks and Rec next week, so. that'll be fun.
Awesome. Counselor Paper.
I have not attended as an ex officio yet, so my time is coming up, so I'll have more at the next meeting. However, I did want to clarify, because I also had that resident concern of speeding in Brent Hill and Timmerick on my list of things, and I just wanted to clarify, is that more, Bill, would that be more of a council driven topic or planning commission?
Speeding on safety, generally
Yeah.
speaking, it would be more council.
Okay.
Real, yeah.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
I think council should go out there and hold signs.
We'll do the right.
Which could
Are you the first volunteer?
That is quickly. I'm just kidding. We're not going out there full signs. I mean, you can if you want. Just don't put anything inappropriate that you don't want on the news.
One last thing.
Oh, yes, Counselor.
For the Ashland Social, I believe that more is more, so if you get in my line, you're gonna get it.
So everybody go to Counselor Page's line. That's great. All right, well, sadly, my boss decided it'd be good for me to leave town during the ice cream social, which I was like all excited about. So I will not be there, but I'm very happy that we're doing this. So I don't have any other reports, other than thank you to Cindy and team for the ceremony. Unfortunately, I was again out of town. It seems to be happening a lot this summer. Apologies. I have a grandchild on the way, so please forgive me. It's number 2, and this is very important. But I am very moved by what has happened, and I was able to spend some time with some other veterans at the park prior, and it was a very therapeutic experience just hanging out with some of us and spending time together. So very much appreciate that. Also want to say thank you to the budget committee. That went a lot better than I thought it would. It's a little more stressful, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I thought it went great, and we raised a lot of interesting questions that we need to resolve, and I'm looking forward to resolving them. So that's all I have for council reports, and since we're moving right along.
One more.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Quick thing, I'm
Yes,
so
please.
sorry, I forgot that reminded me. Yes, thank you to Cindy and all the volunteers for the wonderful Memorial Day celebration. And I also wanted to say thank you to Counselor Dunbrow, because I know that you were part of the volunteer work for cleaning up prior, and I think it was also Knights of Pythias as well that
Yes.
was part of that. So I just wanted to say thank you, because I saw firsthand just the landscaping and the bark dust, and it was a really just polished the park up. So thank you to Counselor Dunbrow and all the volunteers.
Those look amazing. And it's always fun hanging out. All right, so next is council
You have a
calendar.
hand to your right.
I'm so sorry.
I'm
That's
quiet.
ready. You just gotta throw stuff.
Please.
My epic.
Kind of bouncing off, when I did my council report, I didn't know we were
Oh, sorry.
diving in so deep. But
Yes, so.
to add to future agenda items, a discussion around a town hall and how to set one up. Especially with what we know is coming through with the budget and really getting community input on that. That's something council wants to think about or anything.
That'd be a great topic to add.
I guess I would ask, how would we do that for this budget? I think we can do it in terms of educating about the budget.
Yeah, it's knowing what we
or-
have to fill that line, you know, and how.
Or in preparation for the supplemental or the next one, but, based on the process, it's kind of after the cart in the sense.
It's how we're gonna pay for that line item that we're just like putting.
Oh, that's gonna come up in council.
That's in
next
council.
council.
I know, and then after that, how do we get the
How do we
community?
communicate?
I mean,
I
I
think
know we
that-
can do a newsletter, you know.
Yeah.
We have a
Where-
communications person for that, I'm pretty sure. They'll be handling that, right?
Well,
Well, we're getting ahead of the game.
By the way, I want to clarify, I think the question is, can we have, after that comes to council, can we then have a town hall meeting about it versus moving forward with that? But if we go out and talk to the community about what they want to do about it. And I think that I'm questioning how that fits within the framework of time
Councilor Hagedorn?
or process.
I would be willing to support the notion if you bring back a proposal with us on what you think the proposed scope is. And outcomes, and we can talk about if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think one, as was brought up during the budget committee, I think just because we approved the budget doesn't mean we're done with the budget, to Councilor Redding's point. And I think there will need to be community engagement. What I suspect, and I agree with Councilor Hagedorn, definitely work how you want that to go, but I think that that may come out of the passing of the budget. I think that's something that's gonna have to be addressed as part of passing the budget.
Yeah, this is after, this
Yeah,
isn't before.
Because
This is
there's
how
some
do you
others.
Oh,
how
I
do
see.
you-
be
Yes.
filling that line that
Yes.
you've been,
If
How do
that,
we deal with community
if that gets approved, then how would we do?
what's
the
our,
next
Yeah,
one?
how does
So
our
that would
community
be
wanna
the
fund this?
process going forward. I'm sorry, misunderstood.
No, that's.
No,
okay.
that's why I
And now
want
I
to
get it.
clarify.
That's
I think
good.
I understand. So yeah, maybe just come up with how you want to word that, but I think when we go through the budget process, that's something that should come up during
That comes.
the deliberation. Yeah, deliberation.
Mhm.
And then assuming that it does pass, that's something that we can bring out. I think it comes out of that process. That would be my thought, but again, I want to see where you take this.
Perfect timing though.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a good point, because I was thinking similar, we do need to figure that out as we go, but I'm glad you brought it up.
I can partner with you on that. Perfect. And
Just
then,
no quorums.
no questions.
But you can't actually partner on it with the budget,
Correct.
so it has to be.
I won't partner with you because we don't want to get in trouble.
All right.
You
Counselor
can partner,
Reddick.
you just can't partner until after,
We'll call and get guidance from Michelle.
you can't be talking about the budget, because you can't, you can't have two people talk. All
Yep.
Counselor Reddick.
All right, second thing was, I'd like to put on the next meeting agenda item, discussion around public comment process and submissions. And if we'd like to have a conversation about that, since there seems to be a lot of turmoil over it. Just re-review some of our own rules and policies on it.
Counselors? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, all right, we have consensus. Okay, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, so city council meeting schedule, let's see, today is the 2nd, so Counselor Redding will be economic development on the 4th, Counselor Hagedorn, Parks and Rec on the 9th. Mayor, Planning Commission on the 11th, and Councilor Papen, Library on the 18th.
So is the mayor gonna be out at that point and someone else needs to go?
That is to be determined,
Anybody else can go?
so we'll have to determine that.
No.
Mayor, the mayor follows up with this, we don't hear from her, I'll get an email out to make sure she's gonna be there. Also, I know I have Matt coming up, it's in my calendar, I can't remember the exact date, but I do know I have that. The Metropolitan Area Communications Commission coming. And I do plan to attend, hopefully in person if my work allows, otherwise I'll be on Zoom. Let's see, and I'll be attending Washington County Coordinating Committee, I did coordinate with, the coordinator, I don't know, I coordinated with the person in charge of it, whatever they are. Or their name is for the rest of the year to make sure that I have those, just to make sure that we have attendance. And then, Councilor Papen and Caldwell for community development, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I'll be attending that meeting.
Okay, so I think that was, let me just double check my agenda. I think that's it. I think we are done unless anybody has anything. All right, so with that, we are adjourned at 8:28.